There goes the train. I'm outside, if you couldn't tell. And I don't have a stand for this, so I'm using my arms. Hey, I mean, that's what I got them for, you know? Fascinating insight surrounding addiction. At least in particular with cigarettes. Just because I don't have any right now. And I have the feeling, I just had the thought, like I would actually call it a feeling, because it feels more like a feeling. A feeling of longing, a feeling of being distant from myself and feeling as though a cigarette would make me feel more like myself. And I think that's, unfortunately, the danger in them. It's not the toxins, really. And maybe it is at a lower vibrational level, but, you know, it's been interesting to be like a high vibrational being with, or to be becoming one while also having a nicotine addiction, or experiencing the state of addiction, because I wouldn't say I have an addiction. I don't think anyone has an addiction. You have an addiction to the degree to which you attach to it, the degree to which you believe that you have one. And if you don't agree with that, adopting that belief will actually help you. It's helped me tremendously to be able to, you know, to go without. I'm in a place now where I don't really feel the need for them anymore. And that's not to say that I haven't felt this before and then gotten pulled back in, because I have. But I do feel like something has shifted for me in the way I just don't feel that I need them. And it's fascinating because I went through, when I first like really tried to quit after smoking pretty regularly for like a year and a half, smoking cigarettes, it was hell. It was like, and I realized too, it wasn't because of the craving. It was, but it wasn't because of the craving for the drug. It was the craving for the emotional crutch that I had built. It was a craving for the comfort of just a ritual, the comfort of something. You develop some weird, like, almost fetishistic, adolescent kind of fixation, because you start to, you know, anytime, you know, stressors come up, anytime you are triggered, or anytime something is unpleasant, you have this idea, oh, well, you know what I can control? You know what can be mine right now? You know what is so predictable? A smoke. You know what is so entirely mine? A smoke. I can go have a smoke. And it's interesting because when I first started smoking, and I, you know, honestly believe this, it was what I needed. And you could say the whole thing is what I needed, because I learned so much about myself. You know, it doesn't have to be so black and white. You don't have to think of the quote-unquote negative patterns in your life as only that, you know, as negative. You don't need to take them on as something that you should be ashamed of. I'm pretty proud of it, actually. I learned a lot about myself. I remember I first started smoking because I thought it is more harmful to me to avoid something solely out of programmed fear, rather than because I know intuitively to avoid something. And that began my journey. And we had so many experiences together. And that's not to say I really don't, my understanding of addiction is that recovery is not all or nothing. I'll have a cigarette again in my life. Will I be addicted? No. Because I've experienced that state and now I understand it's not true for who I am. I'm not dependent on a substance. It's just not. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. And it's not a matter of, oh, well, it takes you time. Once you stop, you need it out of your system. No. It's a mindset thing. It's a switch that can flip. Are you dependent on a substance? Yes or no? Answer that. That tells you all that you need to know. And do I have points of weakness? Yeah, for sure. But now, over time, I've learned about those points of weakness, so I can do my best to, strengthen myself in anticipation of those, or to avoid, certain activities if I know I'm in a particularly vulnerable state. Because, sometimes our defenses are down, and yeah, it's easier to fall back into old patterns. I met someone cool recently in the Army, and I asked him, what can you tell me about, like, the strength of will required to be so disciplined? Like, what is that within a person? And he pretty simply put it, I think of it like, I just know better. I know staying out late and not getting enough sleep is not going to make me feel good the next day, and I'm not going to want to go to the gym. I'm not going to want to, do the right things for myself. It's simply a matter of, I know better. And, he's humble about it. He said, like, and I still will stay out with friends and, like, make certain sacrifices and do things that the next day I'm like, I shouldn't have. But for the most part, it is a matter of instilling habits that are good for you and knowing better. So the whole thing for me with cigarettes, with addiction, I was trying to figure out, like, how can I be stronger in the face of them, in the face of temptation. And it's not quite about being stronger. It's not quite about being strong or weak. It's more so about knowing better. And sometimes you have to learn that lesson. You don't learn anything by reading about it, right? Or by being told it. You learn it by experiencing it. So if you are somewhere on your path with addiction, let me first and foremost say, you are not without resolve. Like, you're not fucking up, okay? You're doing your best. Affirm that for yourself. I will say this might be a harsh truth. It sometimes felt harsh to me, sometimes it felt comforting. In order to quit anything, like quit doing any activity or behavior, you have to want to. Or we don't even need to say quit. In order to make a change, you have to want to. You have to want to change. And that comes through it's very real. Especially with something especially when you're in a cycle with something like a drug, for instance, like nicotine. If you don't want to quit, like truly want to, it's already, with the habit is so ingrained in your day-to-day, like it's not just going to happen. You really do have to go in there and decide for yourself, okay, I want to make a change. And like I said, I'm really not an advocate for all or nothing. I'm an advocate for balance. And trying your best. But if you're somewhere on this path right now, you're exactly where you're meant to be. You're learning. Come by it earnestly. Come by it earnestly and honestly. This is my confirmation. Be kind to yourself and study your experience. It's something to be studied. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about the thing itself. Cigarettes are, oh my gosh, there are a number of things. They're a tool. They can be used, nicotine can be used for inspiration. It can be used for motivation. It's certainly a tool, but it's also I would say addiction or a cigarette habit is a manifestation of doubt. It's a stutter. For me, it became, okay, I want to do something, I want to create something big and meaningful, but it overwhelms me, so I'm going to smoke. And I don't think that was so obvious to me at first, but over time, upon studying my patterns, I understood, like, oh, this is what's happening. It's a stutter. It's like anytime I actually have, it's basically, it's a quicker way to get dopamine than sustaining like a long project, which is actually something that would be more fulfilling to you. So yes, it's pleasurable, and you can have like this instantaneous sense of accomplishment. I think that's something that we forget that dopamine is too. It's not just like pleasure hit; it's also a hit of accomplishment. It's a hit of it's you procuring something for yourself with certainty that you can procure it. That's like why easy dopamine is a thing, like scrolling on the phone or getting food or nicotine or drugs. Like we are problem solvers, so we look for having an addiction to any of these things. It's basically looking for the easiest possible problem to solve, and you can coast in life doing that. Always only ever looking at the immediate problems, like, okay, I'm hungry, okay, I'm bored, let me smoke a cigarette, or okay, all of these like problems that you can solve really immediately. You can coast on that and avoid the deeper problems, like I'm unfulfilled. That's what I was doing. See, I was coasting, and I was like trying to satisfy and complete all of these little cycles and little projects. And I was still, you still live your life. You're writing, you're drawing, you're achieving things. But there's this deeper pit, this whole gnawing at you that's saying, I'm unfulfilled, and it's going to take more than a cigarette to solve this problem. It's actually going to take you letting go of the cigarette to solve this problem. At least that was my story. So anyways, if you are somewhere on this journey, I guess just know that there is hope, that you're doing your best, that you are a product of the times in a way. Like 21st century, the age of the internet is the age of addiction. We're all kind of navigating addiction in some form or another. So go easy on yourself. That's always the first step. And I would say, like, practical advice, try to find an intermix with your smoking. Like, if you don't feel comfortable just like getting rid of it cold turkey, try to find other things that used to bring you dopamine or that still do, like drawing or like these little activities, dancing, whether it's hanging with a particular friend, whatever. These little things, going for a walk. The next time you want a cigarette, see if you can say, how about I do my walk first and then I have one? How about I, doodle a little bit first and then have one, or have one while I'm doodling. Just try, even if it's the smallest change, to make a little change for yourself. You got to start somewhere, That's really what I did, and it's good advice. Okay, so take it, try it out, and overall, take it easy. All right.